Blogging is a great use of technology that can be used in the classroom. A blog is a regularly updated web page or website, usually run by an individual like a teacher or a small group. They are written in an informal or conversational style. They can range from a class web page, a content-based website, a student blog, websites for student clubs, teams, or projects, or a student newspaper or magazine. This type of technology use is great for older students, usually around junior high to high school age especially, because it's easy for them to access. All it takes is them pulling up a website or app on their phone recommended by their teacher, and then they'll have access to everything that they need to know from their class right at their fingertips. It's also meant to be informal and conversational, so it's easier for those students to understand, and the information shouldn't be too hard for them to grasp and shouldn't bog them down. Blogging has many benefits to the teacher. It gives you a place to allow your students to access all of your content. If you have a daily blog, you can publish the material covered in class for the students to be able to see at home. This gives you a place to keep your students updated on any future assignments or anything that they need to be aware of before they come to your class. Blogging allows you and the students to get creative and express themselves. You get to design your blog however you want, so this gives your students an insight into your personality and your personal philosophies. The same is true for the students. When they get to blog, they get to express their own individuality to you and their classmates, and this gives them a great way to express themselves. Blogging is also one of the best ways to communicate between home and school. It allows the parents to see what's going on in the classroom and keeps them up to date on any new information that they may need to know. This is great because it allows the parents to be aware of any future assignments that are happening in the classroom, or it just gives them information and insight onto what is being taught in the classroom. Blogging gives students a chance to develop their social skills. Even though it's online, the students are still able to develop these skills. And as educators, it gives us a great way to assess the effective domain of learning. It's a great learning opportunity to teach the students how to express themselves in a polite way online, and this can be translated into a grade with the effective domain. Blogging is a great way for teachers to get feedback and incorporate reflection into their class. If the students have a blog, they can share and give feedback on lessons that the teacher taught and reflect on what they learned and maybe what they did or didn't like. And the teacher can use this information to adapt future lessons and modify any future plans for that class. As an educator, there are a few things that you need to consider when it comes to using blogging in the classroom. The first thing is you need to know what type of technology is available to both you and your students. A computer will be necessary to create the blog on some type of website, and the students will need some form of technology where they can access this website. Most schools provide some type of technology to the students, especially older ages, like an iPad or a computer that can be used. If this is not available to the students, some may be able to access on their own phone, but if they do not have their own phone or piece of technology to access the information from home, a school-provided library or computer lab where they are able to have access will be able to view the blog as needed. The main thing that the students will need when it comes to blogging is just their own piece of technology or a borrowed piece of technology that they can use, as well as internet access. The students will need internet because this is how they will access the website of the teacher's blog. The teacher also needs to be aware of what students may not have access to internet or technology. That way that they can work with their school administrators on making sure that these students have access to the school library or school computer lab where they can gain access to this blogging material. They might not be able to access the material from home, but as long as they're able to make it to the computer lab or library where they can view the material of the blog and get the information that they need, that way they can receive a grade. When it comes to blogging, there are many different resources that the teacher can use. Some of the most popular options for blogging in the classroom is Weebly, WordPress, Blogger, and Wix. Weebly offers a great way for physical educators to incorporate blogging into their classroom. What Weebly is a free online website creator that uses just a simple widget-based site builder that operates in the web browser. So what the teacher can do is they can personalize their own website, and all the elements in this website are drag and drop, and then it will automatically generate a mobile version of each website. The storage is unlimited, but the service does restrict individual file sizes, so the teacher will have to make sure that they're monitoring how big the files are that they're placing on the website for the students to view, as far as visuals or maybe videos that they want the students to be able to view at home. So physical educators can use a website like Weebly to create a physical education based website that can utilize different information that's covered in PE class, as far as body systems or the health related components of fitness, anything like that that they can incorporate into a website the students will be able to access. So essentially, Weebly just creates a way for the teacher to completely 100% personalize their website to their liking, and then the students will have access to that. Another great feature on Weebly is that it offers an app for both Android and iPhones that gives the teacher or website creator the access to monitor all the statistics on the website, so they can see what students are viewing what material. They can update their blog post, respond to student comments on the blogs, as well as just adding or updating any products that the teacher has used to submit onto their Weebly website. One specific example of how Weebly could be used as a source of technology using blogging in the physical education classroom would be if you just administer the FitnessGram tests to your classroom. The students all have their results recorded on paper or something. Their assignment could be to go home to the Weebly website that you've already created, that they already have all the information on how to access to, and they need to go input all of their personal statistics of the FitnessGram test onto the blog using a comment feature on your blog post that only you can see as the teacher. And this is just a way that the students can take what they did in class and submit it to you in an online form as the teacher. That way you have an easier way to import these grades and statistics into the gradebook. Another great way that Weebly could be used as a physical educator would be after every lesson, or however many lessons you want to divide it up as a teacher. You could have the students access your website using Weebly, where they have to every day give feedback on what they liked or what they didn't like throughout the lesson. And this is just a great way to help you adapt future lessons, and it's a great way for the students to maybe come to you with any suggestions on what they might want to participate in the future, things that they may like or didn't like. Overall, blogging is just a great use of technology in the classroom that the students are able to access at home or wherever that may be, where they have internet access with a piece of technology, just to keep the students as well as the parents informed on anything that they need to know that's happening in the classroom, or any future assignments that they might need to be aware of, and it keeps the students up to date on everything that's going on in the classroom and just keeps everyone in the know.
The topic that I'm going to be covering is visualization. Some concepts of visualization: linking linguistic concepts to visual representations. That's basically taking what the kids learn in class and turning it into visual representations like slideshows, PowerPoints, anything like that. It needs to be integrated into the lesson. It needs to have a purpose. The technology is student friendly. The kids need to know how to use the things that they're getting, like such as iPads, computers. It doesn't need to be something that they don't even know how to use, because then it won't serve a purpose. And it needs to effectively reach curriculum objectives. What you're providing them needs to be a positive for the students. It needs to have a purpose, but it needs to help them in the future, like they could use it down the road. Now I'm going to give some examples of visualization in a PE lesson. We could be doing a lesson over shooting a basketball, and I could be going over the acronym BEEF, which stands for the B is for balance, the E is for elbows, the other E is for eyes, and the F is for follow through. Fingertips are a key factor in the proper way of shooting a basketball. Different distances allows for different types of shots, like short range, long range, has an effect on the height of the arc. Different techniques are used when shooting from different distances. Here's an image of the BEEF acronym, the balance, elbow, eyes, and follow through. For the balance here, it shows the feet are shoulder width apart and the knees are bent. Toes are facing the rim. If you're not set up like that, it's going to be tough. The student's going to have a tough time making the shot because you're not balanced. The elbow, it needs to be tucked in at a 90-degree angle, the hand under the ball with the other supporting on the side. This goes right in with balance. I mean, if you have proper form, you have a better chance of making the shot. Your eyes are always looking at the basket. Some people look at the front of the rim, others look at the back of the rim. Some people look at the backboard, depending on what part of the basket that you're looking from, like what part of the court. And then follow through. The shooting arm extends to the basket, the flick of the wrist as the ball is released. Fingertips, like I said, is very important. In the follow through, the hand needs to be going towards the basket. If it's going to the left or the right of the basket, it's going to throw the ball off, and it's going to cause problems with the shot. The student's probably not going to make the shot. So here's an example of a bad shooting form that I might show students. His elbow is definitely tucked, but it's definitely not facing the rim. His elbow is actually facing out of bounds. His hand is under the ball, and the other is on top of the ball, which that's going to throw off the shot really bad. His eyes are on the basket, but the ball is kind of covering his face, so yeah, overall this does not look good, and this is not what the student should strive for in a shooting form, because it's definitely just not right. And here's an example of a three-point shot. Like I was talking about the arc of the shot, if you're shooting a three-pointer, the ball is definitely going to go higher in the air. You're going to want to shoot it higher in the air so that it'll stay in the air longer and it'll go farther distance, and you'll have a better chance of making the shot. If you shoot a line drive at the basket, it's has a very good chance of just bouncing off the rim, and it's going to be hard for your team to rebound the ball if you miss. So if you're shooting a three-pointer, you want a higher arc, and you also want to use the BEEF, balance, eyes, elbows, follow through, and you should be good. And then a two-pointer, you may use a little bit less arc because you're a little bit closer to the basket, and you won't have to worry about shooting it as far. Here's an example that I might show students of a good form. See, his elbow right here is a 90-degree angle. One hand under the ball, using fingertips, other hand supporting the other side. He's straight up. His eye is on the basket. He's facing the basket. He's rising up. He's not slanted back or slanted forward, so he's going through a good motion right here, and the arc should be it should be exactly where it should be. He's taken the shot many times. Here's another example of a lesson that I could use visualization for in PE. It's the skill of passing a football. Some skills that I would cover is how the player holds the football is one of the main factors into whether or not the pass is going to be accurate or not, and whether or not the pass is going to be completed. Another thing that we would work on is the position of the throwing stance. If the player is positioned right, then the pass should be at least somewhat accurate. Sort of shoulder width apart, turned sideways facing the target. Holding the ball near the ear is key in having proper form or technique in completing a pass. If you release with the fingertips, that will help a lot in completing the pass. Holding the ball near the ear will keep you from throwing it too high or too low. It'll be more of an accurate pass. It's also important that the index and thumb fingers make an L shape or a 90-degree angle when passing, so it'll be thrown in the right direction. I will show a picture of that here in just a second. It's also important that the ball isn't palmed. If you use your palm when you're throwing a football, you're going to lose control of it and it's going to go just wherever. That's a pretty simple concept. It should only make slight contact with the fingertips so that it can slide right off the fingertips and go straight towards the target. Okay, so here's an example of the L shape, kind of like in the basketball example. He's making the 90-degree angle. The ball is it's somewhat level to his ear. It's a little bit off, but it's good. This finger right here is going to lead where the ball goes. So it's going to go towards his target. So he's level, he's shoulder width apart. He's turned sideways to where he's throwing. The ball is not too high or too low, so he's not going to overthrow the receiver, or he's not going to underthrow the receiver. Okay, so here's bad technique. He's got the L shape, but it's pointed downwards. The ball is way back here. His shoulders lean backwards, so he's very likely going to overthrow the receiver. His finger's way out here. He's not really pointing towards anybody. His head is up, so the result of this is likely going to be an overthrow pass to his receiver, and that's not what you want. He did a good job making the L shape, but it needs to be a 90-degree right here where the ball is more in this area, even with his ear. Here's a picture of an example of what I was talking about, making the L shape with the fingers. He's doing a good job with the fingertips gripping the ball. His palm's a little bit too much on the ball, but we can work with that. It's showing a little stress on his fingers because he's got them too far apart. He needs to make more of an L shape, so this right here should be more right here, and this right here would be a little bit right here. It's not too bad off, but it's something that you can definitely work with. Another example that I could use in class is putting a golf ball. I could use visualization for that. The positioning of the putter in the body for the degree of the angle the putt may have is key in making a putt on the golf course. Anybody who plays golf knows that putting is probably the most important thing because you can gain a lot of your strokes from the green. When putting, you need to use your fingers and not palms for better control of the putt. If you're using your fingertips, it's a whole lot easier to control the putter than it is using your palms. You can force the ball left or right easily. And you also need to make sure to aim for the roll of the ball and not actually hitting the cup. If you hit the ball too hard, you're likely going to hit it through. You're going to hit it through the cup, and it's going to roll way past the hole. You need to aim for the angle or the downslope of the green. So you may need to hit it a little bit softer, but you'll need to hit it a little bit more of an angle. And I'm about to show an example of that. So right here, the green line, the ball would be hit softer because you would be setting yourself up for more of an angle. The harder you hit it, the less it's going to curve because the less reaction time it has. So the green is the lightest hit, this is medium, and then the red is the hard hit. So if you hit it hard, it's got a whole lot less angle on it, but once it gets to the hole, it's not very likely going to drop in the hole because you hit it so hard and it's gonna lip out of the hole and it's just going to take off to the other end of the green. But if you use a little bit more angle, prepare for it. You can pretty much just tap it from this angle because this is downhill, downslope. It'll curve a little bit more, but it should stop somewhere in this area if it doesn't sink. The benefits of using visualization in PE is it allows for more practice at home. Say if you're going over sports in class, you can send handouts or anything like that, and the students can work on the skill even more. It definitely takes more practice than just class time because PE classes don't meet enough during the week to really make an impact on the improvement of the student. Another benefit of visuals is students have the ability to see examples and take their own notes on the matter. So each student is going to view something different. So each student is going to take something different from everything that is taught. They may not completely understand the teacher's technique, so looking at one of the examples on their own time may be more helpful for some students. Many students are not hands-on learners. Many students need to see images to be able to learn better, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Everybody learns in a different way, so this is a great way of changing up your teaching styles, and you can use it to apply to every kid. A good way to use visualization in PE is to email something to the students or post it on the school website, such as Blackboard, that ASU uses. Both of these places are reliable, and students should be responsible enough to either open their email and see the attached links or get on the school website and view this. Copying links for students is a great way of sharing links because it allows for more exploring for the students on certain websites. That website may be covering a certain topic, but there's also other topics on the website that the students could visit regarding the sport or the subject. This could open websites that offer even more help other than just websites provided by the teacher, like recommended websites that website recommends. Passing out handouts, I'm not so much big on that as I am online visualization. It's still a good way of using visualization though, because students see it like in their hands. It's a way that teachers can say that they provided the students with the materials, so the students can't act like they didn't learn it or were never presented with information. One of the bad things, like I said though, is that some students have a tendency to lose these packets, and it can be very, very stressful on the teacher's part, because I mean the teacher's doing their part handing out the work to the students, but the students isn't holding up their end. Technology has to be present for students to be able to give them this type of information. Schools need to have the ability to provide technology to the students, or the students need to have that technology at home already, like a computer or an iPad, or maybe even just a phone. They need to have Wi-Fi or internet so that they can actually access this. I know that a lot of high schools in Arkansas have iPads that students can use, especially like the one that I graduated from. We could check them out if we needed one. As long as we returned it, we were always allowed to check them out. This technology allows for students to like type their own notes rather than write them out on paper, which is a really big time saver for students. Technology it's the thing these days, and students need to be able to use it as much as they possibly can, because it's going to be even more important in the future. Like I said, most students in today's time are buying phones. Like kids have phones in the 3rd or 4th grade, so they're already learning how to use phones and computers at a very young age. Kids are playing video games, so they're getting familiar with it that way as well. For the students that aren't as like technologically inclined, it's easy to set up an email and walk them through it and show them how to open links or emails. It's pretty simple and self-explanatory. Most students likely prefer the information to be posted online because it's easier for them to look at. It's there, they're not going to lose it. And also, a good thing about posting it online is that their parents can see the content as well, so they'll know what the student's learning in class. A couple of advantages of technology in PE. There's so many websites with information already there for students to look at. Like if a student was going to look up, say, shooting techniques for basketball, there are already very many websites or images that can help do a walkthrough or even demonstrate the proper ways of doing this activity. Videos and images are often times posted online so that students and even instructors can use them to help learn more about the topic if they don't know like as much as they would like to. Taking a link from the internet is a great way for an instructor to include visualization in the classroom. A great example of using resources from the internet is by watching professional athletes talk or give clinics. Simply answer questions or walk through simple drills where students can learn a little bit better. A lot of student athletes, or just anybody really that's interested in sports, is obviously going to be interested in what professional athletes have to say because they're the best ones at it, so they're going to want to watch them. I think that students really connect and listen to someone that they see on television, like idols. Like you could say an NBA player, NFL player, MLB player, any other type of athlete. Availability of resources. Teachers have to make sure that the students are capable of actually getting the link. If some students don't have the resources, like say they don't have internet at home, they don't have a computer, an iPad, the teacher may have to stick with handouts or simply use PowerPoints in class. If the school doesn't have anything like iPads or nothing that they can send home with the students, the teachers could also use class time to study materials that have been provided to them. There's nothing wrong with this at all. It's a great way of using your class time because, if a student isn't understanding a concept, it's on the teacher to help them understand that.